Once there was a time, in a land where promises were made and broken by the federal government, there lived a group of people who had been wronged for generations. These people, descendants of slaves who had toiled on the plantations for years without receiving any compensation, were promised 40 acres of land and a mule as reparation for their suffering. However, the promise remained unfulfilled, leaving the descendants disillusioned and angry at the government's betrayal. As time passed, the descendants of the oppressed people grew weary of waiting for the government to make good on its promise. They watched as the government continued to give out millions and billions of dollars in foreign aid to other countries, while neglecting its own citizens who had suffered at its hands. One day, a young man named Mark decided enough was enough. He rallied his community together and demanded that the government make amends for the broken promise. "Write the check or pass the law, Mr. Executive Order Donald Trump," Mark declared, his words echoing through the streets. The government, caught off guard by the sudden uprising, scrambled to come up with a solution. After much deliberation, it was decided that the descendants of the oppressed people would be given the equivalent monetary of the land and mule as a token of reparation and restitution for the crimes committed by their ancestors' government. As the descendants of the oppressed people received their conversation and money food stifling and subsidized rent for 20 years, a sense of justice and pride swept through the community. The broken promise had been rectified, and the people could finally stand tall on their own land, free from the chains of their past. And so, the story of the 40 acres and a mule, a broken promise that equated to reparation and restitution, came to a close. The descendants of the oppressed people had stood up for their rights and demanded justice, showing that even in the face of government betrayal, they could still manifest change and healing in their community.